On lawn care versus landscaping, can you do both? And why some guys in the business getting started want to get into landscaping, but maybe they're afraid, like my lawn care is my bread and butter, it's recurring revenue, and having to go and chase down the jobs. But for me, I found out that it works for me to the point where I went full-time landscaping, but you still do both, right? What's up, Mac?
What's going on, brother? Yeah, we do a little bit of both. We don't do anything crazy. I wouldn't say like landscaping jobs to me sounds like you could do everything. For me, landscaping is mulch, shrub trimming, that type of stuff, the maintenance type things, and then small planning type things. So that's what we do.
So what days of the week do you do lawn care versus landscaping? Like how did you get started? And then how did you transition and what percentage do you do of both?
Right now, we do all of our maintenance from April through November. So April 3rd through November 13th is our mowing season, and all of our landscape jobs are done between February and the end of March. And then we just cut it off because we're a maintenance focused business, and so we cut off everything after March 31st is solely focused on the on maintenance because there's only two of us. It's just me and Captain Jack. So I can't spread us so thin, uh, so I decided to streamline things and just go solely on maintenance because that's really what we like to do, and there's not a lot of stress involved with it.
All right, so when you say maintenance, are you saying maintenance as in lawn care maintenance or maintenance as in trimming shrubs and doing garden bed maintenance and mulch and all that?
Yeah, all of it. When we do maintenance, we do full service for our commercial and our residential clients. Everything except for lawn treatments, which we try and just give to a couple people who I know. CNC Landscaping, shout out to Corey and Chad. They know how to they worked at the zoo and they're like real horticulturalists. So they know how to do all of that stuff. So they can answer those type of questions that I don't. You need a license here in PA. So I don't have one. And again, no stress, bruh. I tried no stress.
So this year, it's going to be June, July, August. You're going to be swamped busy. What percentage of lawn care versus property maintenance will you be doing?
It's all property maintenance. Like, does that make sense? We maintain everything, so everything is on a full service schedule. So if we see some shrubs that are out of order, we just go in the trailer real quick, grab the trimmer, trim it up right there on the spot, and everything is
While you're
packed
cutting the lawn?
before we cut the lawn. So if the shrubs need trim, then we're gonna come. We are on top of them, So it's not ever like some overgrown thing. So we're on top
So
of them. We Go ahead.
you stay on top of it like you do like a couple shrubs every time you visit each week because we have some customers that we have to charge 2,600 bucks to trim all of the ornament. We do ornamental trees and shrubs, some
Hmm.
very large ornamental trees. And I mean, we've been on properties for a day and a half laying tarps all over the place just to do the maintenance for one house. So how do you quantify that and squeeze it in?
So what I do is you would have if here in Pennsylvania we normally will trim shrubs 3 times a year. I don't know if it's like that everywhere else, but
Yeah,
here you
I'm in
normally
Michigan.
would do it 3 times a year. For me, it was becoming a big hassle for us to do what you said, always lay tarps down, or a lot of times what we can do is we can just blow the stuff out into the yard and then run it over with these giant lawnmowers and shred it up real fast. No one ever sees
Yeah.
it. But I got tired of doing that because it was really hard. I mean, pulling out the articulating hedge trimmer to trim some high things
Look at
all the time.
me.
Yeah, it was tough. So what I did was again, I want to not just stress mentally, but stress physically. I want to make this as easy as possible for us. So what I said was hey, look, we trim the shrubs 3 times a year. Let's just say it's $500, $500, and $500. Well, we just cut that $1,500 into monthly payments and add that on to the mowing price. So now if you're mowing, well, I don't know what that math would be. It's 32 weeks on 1,000 is $30. So we'd add an extra $30 onto the mowing price. And then that gets them the shrubs touched anytime there's anything out of order. So then you never have to come and do a whole job. It's just you come touch up the stuff and they still pay the same price. It's just carried out over the season rather
So
than big lump sum payments.
let's say if you got, let's say you have, I know you got a lot more than that. Let's say you have 20 clients and there's 20 weeks. So every single week, do you focus on a different client? And let's say, well, you'd have way more than that. I used to cut grass. We'd cut up to 180 residential lawns per week, but they were small
Hmm.
cookie cutter lawns. I've cut my for years. I cut grass, and but I mean, it's like if you got 20 lawns to cut in that day, and then this person is on the schedule, you're going to do their shrub trimming or property maintenance. You could be just stuck there the rest of the entire day. Like, how do you book it and schedule it in?
Because once you trim them the first time, like, so if we come to the property and everything's out of whack, then we're gonna come and we're gonna trim it everything to a manageable level. Now, once it's at a manageable level, like some shrubs might be in an area that get more light, and so they might have some sprouts that just sprout up. We're just gonna knock them off. It don't take a second to go in there and get the shrub trimmer and trim that couple bushes that there's virtually nothing to trim off. You're just keeping it tight, you know. So
Okay, that does make sense
there's
because
not a
I'm
lot of
picturing in my
time.
head like we have these clients here in Michigan with $700,000 house, and there's boxwoods wrapped all the way around, and there's
Mm.
monster like Miss Kim lilacs and crabapple trees, and it's like a monster portion of the property of the foundation garden beds is filled with plants and shrubs and stuff. It's so much, and then there's mulch and rocks and particulate, and we have to lay down tarps. That's why I said we've spent, well, it just depends on the job. We could be in and out in 4 hours or 4 days, depending on the size of the property. Even a lot of our clients, some of them were there monthly, some we have 3 times a year. Most of our clients do twice a year that we show up after the June rains, and we'll do like just one big trim, and then we come again in the fall. But I guess maybe I haven't seen the properties that you do, but it does make sense in a lot of cases. You could just jump out and touch them up.
So yeah, so but also the difference is this: we're not taking on. So you're looking for someone's calling you. When are they going to call you? They're going to call you. In my experience, I can't speak for you and what happens in Michigan, but in my experience, the homeowner ain't going to call when their shrubs are just a little overgrown. They're gonna call when, for me, they call when they're 2 feet high, like 2 feet overgrown, and then they want you to come and make them look spectacularly great, like you know what I mean, like they're at the White House or something, and you can't do that. And it was so for me, I don't do any outside work. Once we get to April, you have to get on my schedule as a maintenance customer, full service, everything except the lawn treatments, or I don't do your job. My schedule's full for everyone who isn't a customer, and that also allows me as the business owner to like really give the customer that it's taken me 6 years to trim to how the people that I actually want, and we're still like moving off of some folks who just are a little too far out of the area. But once you get your customer, we talk about it all the time. Like
Oh,
once you get your customer and you do multiple service for your customer, then you can schedule things out. And so this year, what I've done is we've let the customers know that we're not doing anything else outside. Like I'm talking about my residential customer. So basically, my schedule's full already for the whole year that I don't
yeah.
have to take any new customers on because everything is already full from last year because of the relationships that I've cultivated over the 6 years, if that makes sense. So then when you tell the customer, right? So now that you've done that, like you can't tell the customer, year one and you're a brand new lawn maintenance person that this is how we do things and blah 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 blah. But you can groom the customers. And now what happens is you have all of your own customers, like your clientele who are faithful to you, who love how you operate and how you run your thing. You have them people. When someone else comes, it makes you almost like you really don't need a new customer, if that makes sense. So when these new people come, you will never bow down on what your on your standards. You won't bow down on it because this one new customer means nothing in the grand scheme of things when you have 100 who are all doing the things you want them to do. When you go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, right? You go to that Chick-fil-A drive-through. You don't get to make the rules. You don't get to not pay. Like, that's another thing for lawn maintenance. This is another reason how this is another thing that I've implemented. You gotta be looking at how do businesses operate? And this is for anyone. This isn't just
Well,
lawn maintenance.
real quick, why I'm laughing and I'm so happy because I don't want people to think I'm high. I am high on life, bro. I asked you one question about the percentage of lawn and landscaping, how you structure it, and then you talked about that for a little bit and went right upstream and just know your worth. And I love it.
Yes,
Keep
yes.
going.
Yes, because once you, like I said, once you get to that point and you just be like, no, I don't need the work. I just don't need to work anymore. And so again, when you get those customers that are like that, now when you go to Chick-fil-A, you do not get to make the rules. You go to Chick-fil-A, the lady or gentleman they take your order, right? They take your order, that you tell them what you want, what they're gonna drink, or what they want to drink, and all of that, right? And then what happens next? You get their card. They swipe their card, the payment goes through, then you get to go around, and then you get your food, and then they say, "My pleasure," when you say thank you. I took the same exact model. So Monday morning, all my clients, residential clients, everyone gets charged every Monday. Why did I do that? Because some people, they say we're gonna get all of our money at the beginning of the month, and I'm on board with that, right? And then there's some people that are gonna wait till the end of the month. I'm not on board with that. And here's why. It's lump sum payments. So if you're dealing with, I don't know, uh a single mom or whatever, and her price is $50, that $200 at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month is going to be a lot. What I've discovered in my experience is that the 57 my low price is $57 right now. But that 57 is a lot easier for someone to manage on a weekly basis than it is for them to manage in a one lump sum basis. You know what I'm saying? So I thought about it like this. Every single week, we all have our habits. We might go, some people might drink, some people might smoke a little something, some people might go out to eat every Friday or something, and they spend that money every single week anyway. If you wait until the end or you try and take it away from them at the beginning, well, that I don't, I've discovered that that ain't good for people. You'll be the last person to get paid. Uh, I'm the first person that gets to your house to make your house look nice. So I want to be the first person to get paid. So that's another thing that I did. I know that wasn't even a question, but that was something that I added to me to just like make sure that I always got the monies. We got to be making the monies, man. You got to be making the monies.
I like it. So, with that being said, back to lawn care and versus landscaping. Can you do both, and what percentage of each? We're talking about, we say, property maintenance. Do you do
hmm
mulch and decorative stone or anything like that? Will you do that, or is it just and including maintenance? Do you also pull all the weeds in the garden beds and blow out the gutters and edge out garden beds?
We
And how
don't
much
do
do you
gut.
charge for that?
We don't do gutters yet. I like the Sam's Club model where if you go into Sam's Club and you go to the ice cream aisle, there's three kinds of ice cream: chocolate, vanilla, and Neapolitan. So I stick like to what I do. Um, how do I charge for things like flower bed edging? Depends. We choose between $1 and $2, depending on what we have to do. If I can pull out the Echo redefiner and hit it, it'll be between $1 and $1.50. If sometimes the flower bed's already there. You don't really have to do much in terms of shoveling it to make it to bevel the edge or anything. If I don't have to do that and I can just hit it with the redefiner real quick, then we'll charge $1. If we have to do extra work, we'll do $2 per foot. If there's tree
Do you
roots or
let them
something
know up
like that,
front verbally and in the contract, and then they
yeah.
check the box or say yes or no if they want this extra level of service or not?
Yep, everything whenever I give an estimate and we're gonna do something other than lawn maintenance, they'll get a separate estimate from the lawn maintenance. The lawn maintenance will have everything because lawn maintenance is the recurring thing that we do. You're gonna have to have your card on file. That's the only way we accept payment for lawn maintenance. Everything else you can give us a check for or you can pay cash, but we write everything out in the estimate. every single time. So it's like not only are the terms of agreement for like how we get paid, how we accept payment, what we're going to do, all of our responsibilities are on there, but also there's a scope of work that says, scope of work, we're going to do this, and it says it. I put it all the time in the order that we're going to do it. So
I love it.
if we're going to come and do a spring cleanup, right? I'm going to say when we get there, we're going to blow out everything. We're going to trim all of the shrubs. We're going to blow out everything again. We're going to redefine the edge. We're going to blow that back towards the house or whatever. Then we're going to clean everything up, bring in the mulch, 8 yards of or 7 yards, whatever. And it's all in like very, very detailed. So the reason I did that was because I started to see how people's estimates looked. And I worked at a group home for 16 years. And every now and then we have to do a restraint or something. You have to be super detailed when the state is doing their investigation because every restraint or every injury or every car accident gets investigated, and you have to write it out like a police report, basically. Now, I ain't no cop or nothing, but I learned very good how to write out for because the state will scrutinize you. They'll bring you in, and then you'll get interviewed like by real people, and there's real consequences if somebody actually got hurt or something like that. So you got to be super, super detailed. So I learned that skill, and I just implemented that into my business. So I hope that answered your question.
So
I
awesome
know
how
I'm
you
long-winded.
cross-pollinated and you took information from one industry and you brought it into green lawn care and landscaping and being detailed. And I also like how you're putting yourself in the mindset or perspective from the customer. Me being a homeowner and my wife and I hiring contractors, like we have a contractor in our basement right now hanging drywall as we speak. And we've had contractors come and although he's a great contractor, I've seen the lack of organization and lack of follow-up and the lack of even having a proper payment system or not even giving me a proper quote all over the board. And it's made me as a landscaping business owner get so much more clarity being in the shoes of the homeowner. But oh my God, if you just like everything you're saying, you give them the proposal and you quote everything on the property and you give them the options, like you said, the Chick-fil-A or the Sam's Club model, very important. And then so the customer, what I'm picking up on probably feels your customers and clients like, man, I like this MACK landscaping. They have their shit together. And finally, we found somebody we could just write a check, get our problem solved, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. He'll take care of it and everything else because you do it all
Mhm.
up front. So it's a structured way. Then it shows that you're very serious about your business. I don't want to. Somebody was that Cedric on there asking? This Matt guy's a genius. I've never heard of him before. Does anybody know if he has a podcast?
Yes, I do. The Lawn Care Power Moves podcast with Mac and Steel. Mondays and Fridays.
How can people find it?
It's on all the podcast platforms, man. Lawn Care Power Moves with Mac and Steel. There's links on my link tree on Mac_landscaping, and there's links in my YouTube description and bios on every video, all 30 of them. I think maybe not the 5 shorts that I got, but the 25 videos that we have so far. You might as well go follow that too. If I'm on here talking to Keith, I must be good. This thing looks like an endorsement to me.
No, I love it, man. I believe in you and in your stuff, and hanging out with you at the Equip Expo was great. And just talking to you on and off here. And we were on Instagram a few weeks ago. So a common question that I get here on this YouTube channel, especially out of the new guys coming in, is like, yeah, but how do I get an influx of good clients coming in so I can actually do what you're talking about, which is close jobs, offer packaged prices? Because if you want to make more money in your lawn and landscape business, you got to increase. Well, first you got to get customers, but you got to increase the average ticket value of customers by raising your prices and knowing your worth. You got to increase the frequency of transaction, which is do more for them more often. How do you do that? You got to have a customer follow-up and lead generation referral system in place. You got to do email marketing, you got to do voicemail blasts and stay on top of mind and constantly following and communicating up with them and turn that customer into a client, into a raving fan. So that way, like, they're locked in and then get referrals. So you build that out by having just a little bit of strategy, but being proactive and consistent in how you do it. And then the next thing you want to do is, so once you got that locked down, but then you can, like I said, offer package pricing. So instead of just cutting their lawn, you do their shrubs, their gutter cleaning, power washing. Like we have customers that we do all their landscaping, property maintenance, and window cleaning. So we do all of that. We have a bunch of customers we do that for. I got into window cleaning like years ago, and that's when I dropped lawn care and I picked up window cleaning, right? And it's higher profit margins, but it comes with its own very unique set of stresses. I won't act like it's great. But how do you actually in your business get an influx of client flow? How do you market your business in short to get the customers in faster and good customers?
So for me, and I've been telling people this for a long time because everyone wants to talk about door hangers and fucking uh, yard signs and all of that. If you don't get on Google, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You're really killing yourself. All of my lead generations come from Google. Or, like I said, I've been doing it now for 6 years and I have some loyal customers, or they just come from them. I virtually do no marketing. Again, we stay small intentionally. So I don't really market the business. But what I do know is that if you show up every single time you're supposed to be there, like, and I'm not saying that if you're supposed to be there at 10 or you come at 10 o'clock that you don't come at 10:15. That's not what I mean. If you show up every single week and you're consistent, you get people to give you some 5-star reviews and you get yourself on Google. You create a website and have your estimate uh, key right at the top so they can get an estimate immediately. You get yourself a real business line, not your cell phone, because you'll never know who's calling. You got to get a real business phone, and then you got to have your website linked to your Google. When you sign up all of these things, and then also Facebook and Instagram, you have to be on them posting pictures of your work because this is your portfolio. If you don't hashtag yourself, people are not going to see your work. If they can't see your work, then they can't validate that you're even good. And once they validate that you're good, you close the deal. They're going to do all of the validating that they need to do before you ever get in front of them or talk to them. So once you handle all of those things, now you have had to, in order to do all of this, you've had to watch some videos, you had to listen to some things and everything. Like you got to get a little bit of knowledge and then you can talk confidently. Like I said in my last video, if you talk confidently, then you can charge anything. Like my uncle, I don't do landscaping, Keith. But I had this video I just did a couple weeks, like last week, where it talked about my uncle who'd been in the game for 40 years and how we walked around this property with this homeowner and I didn't know what to say. And he had the answers to every question, right? So I'm walking around with this notebook in my hand and uh, we finally get to the end of the estimate and she's like, okay, how much? And I didn't know what to say because I didn't know any of this shit. Like I didn't know. He said so much stuff that I couldn't even write it down, right? So he takes the notebook out of my hand. He takes the notebook out my hand, and he's like this. All right. Now she thinks he's writing, and I think he's writing, but he ain't writing shit. He's not writing anything, bro. I'm gonna show you what he wrote, Keith. And I did this on my Instagram the other day, but I'm gonna show you what it said. This is all he did. It looked like he was writing, so he was doing this. My pen ran out of ink. He was doing this. He's looking at her and me, and he's like this the whole time. And then he hands me the notebook. And when he handed me the notebook back, all it said on the notebook was $9,200. Say this. So I looked at the notebook, and then I looked at him, and then I looked back at the notebook, and then I looked at her, and I was just like, $9,200. Man, he had all of the plants and everything. The only thing I had to do was buy the mulch. He already had all of the stuff. He knew exactly what to charge. So it's like confidence, man. That's all you really need. Just if you
I
talk to
want to
someone confidently.
I want to add to what you're saying right now, and to anybody listening who's getting started or only been in the game in a few years, the confidence goes so far, and you get confidence by taking action and taking risks and doing things, not crazy risks, but taking action and doing things that make you scared and then realizing it wasn't a big deal. Some of the jobs we don't do anything crazy like 50,000. We do like up to $20,000 in our landscape jobs. And I used to be scared taking on 10, 15, $20,000 jobs. And then one day I just realized a $10,000 job is really just like five $2,000 jobs
Mm,
all just grouped together. It's just a bunch of shit you've done before, and every rose has its thorn. So there might be one or two things that you're not used to doing, and you're just going to have to call around, do some research, or call some of us in the green community, watch some videos, and then boom, you figure it out. You just close your first $12,000 job at a 50% gross profit margin. It might take you a little bit longer than some of these guys been doing it before, and then you get a few of those under your belt, and next thing you know, you're doing lawn care, landscaping, you're doing maintenance, and you're doing bigger jobs, and then you become comfortable doing what used to scare the shit out of you. And the confidence thing comes from doing it,
yep.
making mistakes, fixing your mistakes. And I've gotten to the point as well. I'll be walking around a property with a customer because sometimes you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And at the end of the quote, we're talking like a 40-minute quote. The customer's like, "Aren't you you're not writing any of this down?" I'm like, "No, it's all literally." They're like, "How do you remember all this?" I say, "Because I live and breathe this and I do this every single day of my life. This is my full-time
Yep.
business. I've done this 1,000 times." And so one thing that you're smiling that the customer doesn't know you from Adam. They have this is very important. The customer has no idea if you're just doing this on the side or you do it once in a while. And when they know that they know and you have the positive proof and the results in advance and you have a 5-star Google listing with, 20, 50, 100 positive 5-star reviews, there's pictures of your work. And one quick I want to insert. I do coaching and I've been doing it for years, helping guys get started on the phone on Monday nights. And I was on the phone with a guy last night looking through his Google reviews. And I realized a mistake because I was looking from the outside of a mistake that I was making by looking and observing his stuff is that although there's plenty of pictures of your work, having pictures of you or employees or both actually in nice shirts and hats embroidered, physically doing the work versus just a bunch of random pictures because it just looks like they don't know what they're looking at. But when they see the actual guy on the mower or trimming the shrub or installing the brick, there's a connection that's made in the brain. They say, okay, this company is actually doing this. And when you tell them, yes, confidently, we do this full time every single day. This is all we do. And so I can literally go tell the customer I'll be back in 15 minutes, hop in the truck and pull up my CRM and make a well worded, highly detailed quote, like you were saying, and or negotiate it verbally right on the spot. I try not to do that in higher ticket jobs because you can make a mistake. Like you want to cross every T and dot every I. It's a little tiny thing that if you're not sure and you're like, oh, I'll cross that bridge when we get there, that could be $1,200 you're leaving on the table, or it cost you $500. So, but the confidence goes a long way because the customers can feel it, whether they can articulate or not. It resonates, and they just know. Like my buddy Chris takes down monster trees. He's a certified arborist, and I've gone on a lot of quotes with him, and we've done a lot of tree work together. The stuff that's too big for us, I just give it to him and like my friend William. And this motherfucker, he'll walk like a titan on the customer's property. This the customer's trying to talk to him, and he's looking up at the tree, already sizing it up, like. and I'm sitting here like a little embarrassed. I'm like, because he's dead fucking serious, and he gets the job because he's already taken it down in his head. I think I took that a little too far because I got a little embarrassed. I used to my first couple of years, I was so gung ho. The customer would be talking about their property, and right while they're talking, I would literally drop down and start like putting my hands in the garden beds and pulling shit out. If they wanted like a whole garden bed removed, I would start doing it right then and there. Like this is my fucking job. And
Yeah.
man, it worked. I think I missed that old Keith, man.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Aaron of the Lean and Mean
Aaron
Academy.
Parker, Lean to Mean
Yeah,
Academy.
yeah. So, but
He's brilliant on YouTube.
I seen a video of him, and one of the tactics that he uses. Oh, I thought it was brilliant. So they go on a window cleaning thing, and maybe you might have seen this in one of your videos too. But they go on a window cleaning thing, and actually, I might have got this from you. And a good salesman will go in there and he'll find the biggest window and only clean a portion of it, or they'll only clean one section of like the window that has the big thing. They'll just clean that one, and now the homeowner is sitting there looking at that, like, Oh my god! Now they have to do something. So they either gotta clean it themselves or they now you sold them, right? It's like the vacuum cleaner salesman that used to come to my grandma's house all the time. They would come, man. My grandma always wanted to buy this damn vacuum cleaner because she gets to see it work. They would put this little white thing in here, and then they would use this hose, and they'd have some black shit on it, and she'd be like, "Look, it works." You know what I mean? So it's like when you show someone that you can actually do something, they just automatically put that faith into it. Like so, if like you said, you show yourself with the picture, then you come and you talk to them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy's an authority. We're definitely gonna go with him." You know?
You know what? That just made me think of something. I would keep this part short. I met a landscaper who was doing very well for himself, and he had just gotten started. He was having a lot of success very quickly, and he showed me a binder. I'm like, how the hell have you accomplished all this? And it was tons of pictures of work that he hadn't even done, and he was going around like it's called fake it till you make it to a, I would say, an unethical level. And I think that you'll get found out real quick if you're doing stuff like that. And I never did anything like that. I would be scared to do something like that. But it's interesting how far confidence can take you, and sometimes a bit of ego is good when you're totally fucking gung ho and committed to your business and you're out there and you're hustling. The customers appreciate the hustle. I close more and more and more jobs. The more, dude, I would go out to people's properties at 10 o'clock at night with a flashlight. I was there. I'm at your service. And so when you have that hustle, people love it and they expect it and they want to give. Really hurt myself. I've had depression, uh, working myself to death. Too much work, too much obsession with work to where I got burned out on doing sales and I had to hire somebody to pick up the phones and screen the calls because talking to customers too much. Up on a job to do a quote, like I'm not even gonna fucking get this job anyways. Like I had a bad attitude, or I reduced everything down to its utility value and to the transactional value of like, hey, this is what you're gonna get, this is what I'm gonna charge you, this is the quote, and I took away all that personality and excitement and inspiration that I had for a while, and my close rate went down, and I'm like, I don't fucking get it. I'm reading all these books and learning and studying and researching about how to be better at sales, yet my sales are going down, and it's the one element that is the intangible element that is your attitude and your excitement and your inspiration. So confidence goes a long way if it's fueled from a spiritual place, a place where you're in love with what you're doing and you're excited. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we had talked about this before on my Instagram live when we talked a little while ago, and I think that I know a lot of people deal with that type of anxiety with like not being confident because they just don't know yet. I never really had that problem, and I think it in large part has to do with because I played sports. So I played basketball and football. I had to stop playing football early because I had a brain injury actually playing basketball. But one of the things that I used to do when we talk about confidence is I could shoot the ball really well. I'm talking like this was 20 years ago. So I was playing like how Steph Curry plays today, only I couldn't dribble as good as him. But I played like that 20 something 22 years ago. And one of my things was like I'm small, I'm only 5'8". So if I go to the hoop, there's a lot of tall people down there, but I was quick and I could shoot really well. So the first thing I would do every game is 1 or 2 steps over half court, I would shoot a three right from there. A lot of times I would make it and they would be like, "Holy shit, this dude will shoot the ball from anywhere." And what happens is the perception changes. Now, instead of them waiting for you to come to them, they start to meet you at half court. Well, if you meet me at half court, there's not many people who are quicker than me. So now you come all the way out here and it makes the court really big. Now the tall people can't stay in front of a short, small, explosive guy like myself who could shoot the ball really well. So you got to stay close to me. And when you do that, then I'm just going to blow past you. Now I can go shoot a regular three pointer or a layup or a floater, and we're going to score a lot of points that way. So the confidence thing, when you do that, everyone knows, everyone sees it. Like when you do that, you make a statement. You know what I'm saying? And so I took that same thing. Like I will shoot this ball from everywhere. So when I come to a property, I'm taking the shot because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. People have heard that before. And I'm swinging for the fences. I'm trying to hit a home run every single time. And you know what? Don't always happen. But I've never, in the last 2 years, I have not went and done one job that I didn't enjoy. And do you know why that is? Because I shoot the shot at a high price every single time. Every time. Every time, bro. For mowing, every time. When I seen that happen with my uncle, he took, he upsold more things in that in 15 minutes than I did. He was the reason. Like, I literally made my entire salary in 1 month after that. That was the last job that we did of the month, and that job made me make more money in 1 month than I did in my entire year of working. That shit was the most incredible feeling ever, and that was just coming down, shooting threes, baby, shooting threes.
Yeah,
Got to
so
be
and that can
confident, man.
happen. You're living
Got to be
proof, and it can
confident.
happen in like anybody here who maybe who has been discouraged and you keep shooting threes, and you will fucking get it. And I've seen it happen in my business a ton of times. Like so many times I have obvious proof that you can land huge jobs, make great money, highly proof. We call them jackpot jobs.
Hmm.
Sometimes in tree work, it could be like a pine tree that I don't know, it's $1,400. You can literally trim it up, flop it over, cut it up, boom, throw it in the chipper of the truck and be in and out, boom, 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 in like an hour and a half. And then you
Yeah,
almost feel weird because you know, like and you can go clean up house into some landscape jobs that are on a smaller property and there's a lot of work in a small area. You could do a whole bunch of work real quick, like almost like a
yeah.
sewing machine and get it all done and be in and out and clear a $2,000 job in half a day. We've done this. Um, but one thing that you're not saying is your ability to be comfortable with rejection. How do you handle rejection and still stay up even when you're up?
Again, because of sports, man. Because of sports, it's rejection happens all the time in sports. You miss shots, you miss layups. I play quarterback on my little flag football team. I throw interceptions, I throw bad passes, and so and I have ADHD, so I don't think about things very long. Like I can't. Let me. I don't know if I can how I can explain this, but my attention span is so short. It's hard. Sometimes in the middle of a conversation, I'll just forget what we were talking about. It happens all the time. So when someone tells me no, I'm like, "Psh, it don't matter. That's just we're gonna get the ball back. And guess what? Because I set everything up, the ball comes in an email like 15, 16 a day. So what the hell is one no mean? You had someone, you said people dealing with confidence. I literally had a guy who just starting his business. I'm not gonna say his name, who I've known for a long time. I was helping him with his pricing, and when I told him he just can't wrap it in his brain yet that someone would pay $300+ to have their lawn mowed on a weekly basis. I'm like, bro, there's a lot of grass. Number one, he didn't. So after I get him to give whatever price, and I don't know if he actually did it or not. He then texts me and he's like, "Can you send me some pictures?" And I said, "Of what?" Of like work I could put on my website. I was like, "You want my pictures?" Like, no, I'm not sending you my pictures. What if you come and you don't do what I do? You know what I mean? It's like you don't want to be false advertising to people. I said, you gotta that's one thing about the job, like to get those pictures, you're gonna have to actually go do the work. Sorry.
Yeah.
You gotta do the work.
Yeah, and when something's real and it is real for real, and you have it under your belt, there's
Hmm.
a resonance, a feeling of follow through that works in your favor, and so
But I
because
just
it's
to
real.
answer your question, I don't take the no's personal. Like when you're first starting out and you got bills to pay and all of that stuff, you can take it personal as like the person says no because they don't like you, and
Dude.
and 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 really all it means is like they just don't want to pay that price because Chuck in the truck or Dan in the van, they'll do the thing for $25, and you are actually trying to run a real business and learn how to pay your taxes and pay your employees well, and do all of these things that are real. Like, I want to be like Amazon. I want to be like Chick-fil-A. That I want to have an actual real company. And to do that, you cannot charge $25 and have a Toro grandstand and a Toro multi-force and a dump truck and trim, like all of the shit that you need. So when it comes to that rejection, I'm just like, it's cool, bruh. I mean, I understand it is what it is. Business is business. Unfortunately for you, because I only come to the houses that I actually want. So if I don't get one that I actually wanted, it is a little bit of a like letdown. I won't lie. But I also look at it like this: for the price I was charging you, you don't even understand what you lost. You lost me because, and I love all of the people who work around me. They're all I'm friends with a lot of them now, since I've started to do this and everything, and they all do phenomenal work. But if I had to choose, I would choose me. You know what I'm saying? And they don't understand what they lost because when they get me, they get all of this. They get all of the passion. They get me wanting to do their yard as if it was mine. They get me wanting to following up with them. They get me remembering their kids' names and giving their kids stickers and fist bumps to the grandfather or whatever. A little kiss on the cheek for the old lady who says I'm handsome and that if I was just a couple years older, she would take me in the bathroom, you know? So like it's all of that type of stuff, you know? And when you don't sign up with me, that's what you've lost. And that's okay. But if you hit me back up, I'll tell you what, the price is gonna be even higher. It just is what it is. How do you
So,
handle getting told no?
it's all across the board. It's from depending. I'm an emotional guy, and it's from I don't care. I got so many leads coming in, so many quotes, and so the phone's ringing. I don't even remember all the no's because I'm just so busy taking care of the yeses. But there's
Right.
sometime I get hooked, man. It'll squeeze through the cracks and it'll hook me, and I'll go off, bro. I made a video in spring of it was 2020 or it was the year before last year, dude. I this these I get pissed even thinking about it. Some customers are real smart and they know how to play, and I put in my time, energy, and attention, and that's fine. I'm wearing a Kelfis hat and I'm showing up, and so for some people that are confused, this is a Cujo yardware hat. People think it's Kelfis. You got that's sweet. When I said Kelfis hat on me, but I gave him a quote. It was like $4,000 to do all this property maintenance and rip out all these shrubs and do this mulch, and it was actually a good price. And then right then and there, they started the wheeling and dealing and hustling. And I was like, well, I can take away this work here and do this. I can come down a little bit here, but I mean, I've been doing this for years and I know exactly what goes into it. I'll tell you exactly how long you can be here. We'll be here, what to expect. We'll be here when we say we're going to be like, you're going to be extremely happy. And I mean, this is not my first rodeo. And it was like $4,000, you know, $750,000 house, and I'm not judging anybody, but it's like they started wheeling and dealing me to my face, and to the point where it was disrespectful personally. Um, and you know that feeling when you're standing in front of a customer and they're literally trying to talk you down to your face and your blood starts boiling and you want to say something
Hmm.
unprofessional or
Yep.
right in that moment. So I got to the point where I was so sick of that and not tolerating it because when you start to realize your worth, there's a couple things that happens. Like I'm really impressed by like older businessmen who are very calm and peaceful, and they say few words, and they could just speak, and you just know no means no. They don't even have to raise their voice or get emotional excited. They just been
Right,
through that.
right.
Like I really am. I aspire to have my act together like that one day. And so, right in the middle of them talking, I said, you know what? This isn't a good fit. I'm not interested. Peace. And they're like, what? Where are you going? I said, I'm not interested. Have a nice day. And I hopped in my truck and I just took off right to their faces, exactly what I wanted to do.
Yep.
And I was so pissed off. I took out my phone and I was like, these fucking customers, you are not gonna fucking disrespect me. Blah. And I just let it all out in my phone. And I went on YouTube and I pressed upload. And bitch, that fucking video just started going. Dude, people in the comments, "Ah!" And then I woke up the next morning and I had my friends calling me. They're like, "Bro, that video you made is fire." And then I thought, "Whoa, shit! What if my customers see this? What if like?" Because I mean,
Yeah,
and did I took
I
the video
understand.
down? I took the video down, and I'm
Mhm.
I've had customers walk out with coffee in their hand, Thursday morning. We're on day 3 of their landscape job. I was watching some of your videos last night. I'm like, what videos? Let me ask you something. Am I one of those nitpicky customers that you were talking about in the videos? And I'm like, no, 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 no. You're so I do get hooked emotionally sometimes, and I got out of the field last year, because the year before last year I just got so burned out that it was the last time I had my hand on the steering wheel, leaving the dump, dumping a full load again, and this deep feeling sunk in my stomach, and I felt like I was dying inside. I I was so sick and tired of like if I don't do this, then it won't happen type shit.
Mhm.
And everything was on me that I was like, fuck, I don't care what it costs me. I have to get out of the field. And I hired more people and got out of the field. And my profit margins dropped. Like you think that getting out of the field is going to be like this, oh, I'm gonna be free. That's true success. It's just a different level of problem. It's the
Mhm.
same stress for and you're making less money and the only way is to grow your way out of it. And it sure is nice to be able to like uh drive around in a truck and sell jobs all day and just do marketing and advertising and have somebody answer the phones for you and have a bookkeeper do the books and just show up on the jobs and everything looks great. Like the quality of the work was impeccable. I'm a control freak when it comes to quality and making
Mhm.
sure the customers are taken care of. And but like, dude, part of me feels really disconnected and has this like I remember just this last fall, I show up to a job, everything's fine. There was a tree that needed to be cut down with a chainsaw, and I'll let my guys use chainsaws. But if sometimes we do a landscape job and there's a small tree or something, I'll show up and put on all my PPE and I'll cut down the tree real quick, chop it up, and I'll be like, all right, peace. And I'll just show up for like a half an hour and work and then leave. And
Mhm.
as I left, I look out the window and the guys are working and I stopped my truck and I felt so uncomfortable, like this weird codependent attachment issue. Like I felt like I was abandoning my business and abandoning them, and I felt like the camaraderie, and it's a very isolated feeling. And it's like so. Analyze the role that you play in your business with each new thing that you take on. If you're doing just lawns, you want to get into landscaping, there's a different role. If you want to grow a little, there's a different role. So you have to grow internally in order to grow externally. And I'm actually debating this coming year. Like, I want to jump in the field more. I crave the feeling of trimming shrubs and ripping out bushes with my bare fucking hands and climbing up and down ladders. And it's so enmeshed in my identity that it's causing I know I brought this to a totally different place, but it's
No,
causing something.
I was gonna say
I
that
don't like
makes.
it. I like working, bro.
I was gonna say I'm happy you said that because everyone is pushing how grow, 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 and I'm like, I really don't have I don't have that desire. And but I still was like, I'm gonna get a second truck this year, and I want to. Don't get me wrong. Um, and I'm gonna empower Captain Jack. Captain Jack's my employee. He's been with me for the last few years, and I'm gonna, get him in a truck and get another employee to work with him, and then I'll just take my dump truck and I'll go just mow yards by myself so I can make content or whatever. That's kind of what I thought. But then this is why it's important to talk and communicate with the people who work with or for you, is because I was like, yo, bro, like I want to give you a good raise, like not just the regular standard raise you have been getting, but I want to give you like like I want not power, but I want to empower you, to be more independent and like everything. You've been with me, you've been rocking, and since you don't want to have your own business, which I'm definitely for, if he would like to do that, I would help him. But he don't want to. He wants to be with me. But after having this conversation, what he said to me was, One of the reasons that I like working here is because I get to work with you. So he don't even necessarily want to 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 have and run his own crew. He he wants the responsibility. Like this year, he's driving me in the truck and everything, but people like he wants to be around me. So it's like, how do I now when my number one guy, he's something they say, write out your plan and make it plain, right? And he made it plain, like, I really like working with you. So, or is there gonna still be days like I want some extra responsibility? I would like to go run my own crew, but am I still gonna get to work with you sometimes? So now I'm like, now what do I do?
So that's if you go talk to anybody who runs, a multiple 6 or 7 figure business, or like they're gonna be like, "What are you gonna do? Revolve your life around?" But they don't know the level of camaraderie and identity that you have to working with that person day in day out. You spend more time with some of these people than you spend with your own family. You break
Yeah.
bread with them, you eat lunch with them, you bond, you suffer, you work in the rain, you hop in the truck after a rainstorm and you're soaked and you laugh about it. Like this is how you it goes back, it's tribal. It's very important.
Mhm.
A guy who's been working for me for a long time, I sent him a text message like, "Bro, I miss the days when it was just you and I in the truck, driving at 7:30 at night, exhausted, but laughing and stopping to get a fucking cheeseburger or something because we were hungry, and the
Yep.
funny jokes and the music and like um Phil Collins in the air in the night, listening to that shit and turn up to that part. And then it's just you in the truck by yourself going and selling jobs. I start crying.
Yeah. No, hey, that happens to me all the time. Shit, I'll be on the lawnmower sometimes because I don't. I'm getting back into music. What's crazy is I stopped listening to things because I realized like your brain and the things that you put in it is powerful, and the things that you listen to sometimes can put a negative aura on you. And the things that I was, and I'm not. This is not to talk about rap music or anything. Like if you listen to you like Taylor Swift, all she does is make music about her breaking up with people. So that's negative too. So I ain't talking about anything. These distractions that we have, Chase Atkins, what is he doing for you? What are these musicians doing for you? And I realized I'm getting nothing from this. They're just trying to steal the bit of attention that I do have. When we don't have a lot of hours in a day, right? So I stopped listening to music and I started to listen to motivational videos and things like that. That's actually how I found you, Keith. Everyone knows now. I've talked you up enough, but that's how I actually found you was taking that stuff out. But now I'm getting back into it because my wife found this radio station called Boost or some shit. I don't know, but it has I love hip hop, but I just at 40 years old, right? I can't even listen to the hip hop that I used to love as a kid. The stuff that I used to listen to in the 90s, my Tupac, who I love, Biggie, like all of that stuff, because my life doesn't relate. I don't live in that type of brain space, that type of environment. When I was growing up as a kid and that type of music was coming out, I was living in the hood. There was, things was happening that was related. I could understand. Now I can't understand what any of these people are talking about because I'm old and I'm a damn father and I got 3 kids and a wife and I run a little business. You know what I'm saying? So I can't relate. So I like really got out of music, but again, you can still do the things you like. There's other things out there. My wife showed me this new radio station called Boost, and it has like Christian hip hop, bro. It's unbelievable. Guys like Lecrae and Andy Mineo and this kid NF. He's my favorite right now. NF. I don't know his name, but that's his rap name.
Dude,
NF.
my friend Steve DeHunt is a landscape business owner. He's off. He sent me a
Hmm.
bunch of Christian hip hop, and I listened to it. I'm like, "What is this?" And dude, it's amazing. Some of it.
It's
It's
so good. Yeah.
what's the name of that artist? Christian Dominio,
No, Andy
Andy.
Mineo. Andy Mineo. Then there's a guy named Lecrae. And then there's a guy named NF, just the 2 letters, NF. And NF, I think you would really like him if you're into hip hop because he got some unbelievable songs, bro. I've been really relating with that dude lately. But you have to. always, in my personal opinion, like to wake up happy every day is number one. It's a choice. Like how you see things determines whether or not you wake up happy or not, in my opinion. So like I don't even the bad things. I used to make excuses for all of those things. All of the bad, like my dad being in and out of prison, like that was an excuse. My mom having me when she was young, that was an excuse. The coach not playing anyone until they were seniors, that was an excuse. Like I had excuses for everything. And then when you do this, it changes everything. You know, it changes the brain that you had when you was a child, like before you realized that life was life, and you were a kid and you watched Saturday morning cartoons, Superman and X-Men and Wolverine and all of that shit. Like
Saturday morning
that,
cartoons, man.
bruh. I
Bowl of
made
Lucky
yes,
Charm.
yes. I made up these super like that. I was a superhero in my head because eventually you realize like shit, is this really how life is supposed to be? Like you see these families like the Huxtables and shit, and you like, my life ain't anything like that. And so you create this thing in your head, and mine's with superheroes. I wanted to believe that I was like I could fly, and you know what I mean, that type of shit. So what you do with your brain is just a choice. So choose. Like when you're a kid, you invent something like a superhero, but when you're an adult, you actually are a superhero, especially if you have kids. Like if you got kids, you are the superhero. They don't I've realized this about my parents. You don't really know your parents. You don't know what they went through. You don't know how they actually grew up. You only know them from the time you become consciously aware that they're someone to you, right? You can only remember back your experiences, but you don't know what made them the person that they was and why they were in that stage of life. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the things as an adult I had to realize like I'm putting things on people that number one, they don't even know that's on them. Number two, if they do know, they probably don't care because they're not trying to address it. The only person it's affecting is me. And so choosing to be happiness, I chose to to understand now what that they were the things that they may or may not have been going through so that I could get over it myself so that I don't put that same stuff on my kids. So one of the best ways is to just change the things that you listen to. Change the things you're listening to. I'm sorry, I'm on a raging rant right
It's
now, man.
amazing. This is life coaching shit, bro. My grandmother passed away a few months ago, and over like the winter, I last fall, I spent a lot of time visiting and on the phone reconnecting in a whole new way with my aunts and uncles who were in their like 60s and stuff, and talking to people in my family for hours and deep conversations about like how did they grow up, how did grandma grow, how did mom, where did you guys live, what was it like in your childhood, why did these people get married and get divorced, like, and I got a lot of the whole backstory, and then I would take that story and compare it to somebody else to find out, and I learned so much about my family tree that affects unconsciously the decisions that the programming that was instilled in me, possibly, that I'm not even aware of or where it came from. So being like, oh, so that's why, like this story with the ham in the pan, how they cut the ends off of it, that everybody's heard. Like, so it's been able to create this boundary distinguishment where I could jump outside of what I think is the programming of my life and consciously choose the direction, say, okay, the buck stops here. I'm a fully responsible, accountable man, and this is how I want to create my life instead of living out like a loop of the past. And so I like that's how you're a thinker. All right, we're coming up on an hour here. I'm going to end this. How can people find you one more time? And I also want to invite you, well, I want to do it publicly because then you were like, oh, now you got to, but you don't. You fly out to Michigan and come to my studio and put a camera in your face, and we could do a live video on the Untrapped podcast and put it all over the YouTube channel. It'd be
I'm
awesome.
with it,
It'd be
bro.
high
Just let me
quality.
know. Let me know when. You can find me on here, YouTube, Mac Landscaping and Lawn Care. Um, on Instagram, Mac underscore landscaping 412. Facebook is Mac Landscaping and Lawn Care, and we do a live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Instagram Live. Me and my boy Cedric, the Lawn Care Power Moves Instagram Live show. And then we also have the Lawn Care Power Moves with Mac and Steel podcast on all of your social media platforms. We drop episodes every Monday and Friday. That's that.
I love it. And I'll put the links in the description below so you can check it out. Follow him on YouTube. Just real quick, I just want to take a quick glance at any comments. Platinum Lawn Services, what's up? Ray's Lawn Care, how are you doing? Q1 Services, well done. Dave, Carol, Charles Viner, what's up? Alvin Chica Lawn Care, Kaiser Lawn Care, Doyle Bros. Awesome. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. And we'll see you soon. And take care, bro.
Peace.
Peace.